Hello class, I am Mara, and as you know, today my team and I didn't have time to present, but we were going to talk about the major theories of learning from chapter number 2, and I was going to talk about mainly about the study of cognitive development from Piaget. And who was Piaget? He was one of the first psychologists who made a study in cognitive development. And what is cognitive development? Cognitive development is how we learn to think, to know, to communicate, and to remember. And what inspired Piaget to study cognitive development? Well, while he was working in France at an institute, Binet Institute, his job was to develop French versions of questions on English intelligence tests. And he was testing the children's aptitudes and abilities. And he began to notice how younger kids kept giving wrong answers to certain questions and became fascinated by the fact that children of a certain age made particular mistakes that older kids and adults didn't. So he thought, okay, younger kids are at a different level in their understanding and in the development of their skills and their abilities compared to older kids and adults. So he started to perform several experiments with different children of different ages, and one of the most famous experiments he performed was one about the concept of conservation. It's an experiment that maybe you have heard about before, where you pour the same amount of liquid into different containers of different volumes or sizes, and then you ask the children, okay, do you think this container has more liquid than this other one? Which one has more? So I performed the same experiment with my brother. He is a 7-year-old, and I will try to upload the video and as well as the Prezi. And I was really surprised to see how he responded or answered as many children of his same age. So through these experiments, his main question was, how does knowledge grow? So he proposed that as we grow, we struggle to make sense of our experiences, and we build schemas. And what are schemas? Schemas are mental frameworks that help us interpret information or are groups of similar actions or thoughts. And these schemas range from physical concepts like dogs, hats, cats, anything from the physical world, and also abstract ideas like love, friendship. And also Piaget proposed that we are constantly striving for cognitive equilibrium, which is the harmony between our thought and our environment, which always gives us new things and experiences to adjust to. He also proposed that we adapt to new experiences through two processes that are closely related, which are assimilation and accommodation. So when we assimilate new experiences, we interpret them in terms of our existing schemas or mental representations. So imagine a little girl, a toddler. So if this toddler has never seen a deer but has the schema for a horse, she will make the deer she sees a horse to make it fit with her understanding. But as the child interacts and experiences more from the world, her mind will expand to accommodate new experiences. So it is in this process of accommodation that the child will realize that the deer are not horses, and she will adjust her schema. And now she will be able to tell the difference. And then what else can I tell you? Okay. But our knowledge, according to Piaget, grows in ways more complex than those two steps. So he went on and devised a 4-stage theory of cognitive development, which describes how we learn throughout our life. So the first stage, according to Piaget, was the sensory motor stage from birth to age 2. This is the time when babies experience throughout their senses, and actions like grabbing things, throwing things, putting things in their mouth. And as you know, babies get scared around strangers. They have to see something in order to know it exists. This makes them very, very easy to trick. So, for example, when we play with them peekaboo or we throw a blanket over one of their toys, they think it disappears. And why? Because they lack object permanence, which is the awareness that things exist even though they are out of sight. So according to Piaget, this was one of the major achievements of this stage. And the second stage is the pre-operational stage. I will try to briefly describe each of the stages. From age 2 to 6 or 7, and this stage is marked by egocentrism. So everything revolves around the child. It's all about them. They only think about themselves. So this feeling drives most of what a child thinks and says. And this stage is also marked by their ability to mentally represent objects, words. Also, they are big into animism, which is, for example, when they pretend to be their favorite character, Batman, a superhero, a princess, etc. And during this stage, kids can clearly understand the concept of conservation, which is the example I gave about the two containers with the same amount of liquid. And also, they also struggle with the concept of reversibility. It's hard for them to mentally reverse the process by which a smashed or flat ball of clay can be rolled back into a ball. So it's a concept that is really hard for them to understand. And these challenges both have to do with centration, which is a child's ability or tendency to fixate on just one aspect of a problem, like the shape of a container or clay. But during the next two stages of cognitive development, things start to blossom and kids start forming their own theory of mind, and also they start to understand other people's thoughts and feelings. So it is in the concrete operational stage from age 6 or 7 to 11 approximately that kids start to think logically about events that they actually experience. So kids on this stage experience decentration, which is being able to see beyond one aspect of an object or a problem. So now the concept of conservation or reversibility don't seem to be problems anymore. And the last of the stages of Piaget was the formal operational stage, which starts from around age 12 and continues throughout the rest of our lives. And it is during this stage that we start to expand our reasoning. We do more abstract thinking, problem solving, and hypothetical questions. And one last comment would be that about Piaget's model is that it has been criticized a lot for oversimplifying things, for being also too rigid on how to classify certain abilities by age. Today, for example, researchers have detected these stages earlier than Piaget ever did. Also, sometimes even object permanence has been observed in 3 or 4 month olds, so younger kids. And psychologists also see development more of a continuous process instead of a series of stepping stones. But even Piaget understood that these stages weren't as fixed as he made them sound. So this was all about Piaget. I hope you liked my video. And my other team members are going to talk about other theorists like Vygotsky and also about the operant conditioning.